Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. So this one is going to be a little bit different again from what I've put up in the past. This is a sculpture of Giselle from the movie Enchanted, which was a live action movie that was done quite a few years ago. Amy Adams, I think, sort of, became famous off that movie. She'd done work before then, but I think that one really kind of catapulted her to sort of big name status. And I think also co-starred, what was this guy's name? Patrick Dempsey? Is that his name? Yeah, I think he was famous at the time for being on Grey's Anatomy. But anyways, this was a Disney movie, and the conceit behind it is, Giselle is this princess, and Amy Adams voices her, and then she sort of goes from the make-believe animated world into the real world, and then shenanigans, kind of ensue from there. Kind of reminds me of another movie called Cool World that starred Kim Basinger as this cartoon character called Hollywood. Except that movie was actually kind of terrible. It was sort of very, very young Brad Pitt as well. But that wasn't a very good movie. I saw that, I remember, on the big screen with my dad. And when we walked out of the theater, he was like, yeah, that's the last time I listened to you about going in to see a movie. But, it's the same type of idea, but of course Enchanted was much more wholesome and much better executed. So this is from a studio that's founded by a sculptor named Giuseppe Armani. He's Italian. And this studio is based in Florence, in Italy. And there's a lot of backstory and information about both the sculptor and the studio. And I might get into a little bit of it here, but I have a lot of his sculptures of some of my favorite Disney movies. This particular piece is of Giselle, and it's of her animated version. So obviously when she goes from the quote-unquote magical world into the real world, she changes into Amy Adams. But this is not of Amy Adams. This is what she would look like if she was a cartoon, in that world. And this was sculpted actually by Giuseppe Armani's apprentice or disciple, however you want to call it, his successor, by a man named Fabrizio Tani. Again, I'm not Italian, so I apologize if I don't pronounce it correctly. But yeah, Fabrizio Tani is the actual sculptor. He sculpted this in the Giuseppe Armani style. I believe this piece was done rather late. It may have been done after Armani had passed away. He passed away of a stroke, I think in his 70s. So this is a very rare piece. There are other Armani sculptures that are numbered, but Giselle, and I think that is just the name of the sculpture, as you can see at the very bottom, it's Walt Disney's Giselle by Florence Sculptures. And you can see that the name of the studio, Florence Sculptures, is actually engraved into the resin. And we have Disney. And the date, I believe, 2001, and the location. But we don't have his name. We don't have Fabrizio Tani. I had to research it on the internet to find who actually sculpted it, and his name is not on the bottom of the base either. That's kind of a shame. I think I'm a big proponent of an artists getting their due credit for the work they did, but in any case, this was old sculpture. That means 2001 places it 17 years ago. I'll use Flash to make sure that I'm correct, but it does look like 2001, doesn't it? Yeah, so anyways. So even though she's not numbered, she's actually extraordinarily rare. I think the combination is just because perhaps she was done again after Armani's unfortunate passing, created by Tani and not Armani himself. There's no actual formal certificate of authenticity with a number. There are, certificates in there which denote that this is a authentic sculpture from the Florence Studios, but no actual numbered certificate, which does come with some of his other works. And quite classically as well, some of his other sculptures were Disneyana convention exclusives, and they came with multiple certificates, and the certificates were actually framed in a fall wood frame. It's very, very nice, very classy. So this one, doesn't have any of that, but even so, she has become one of the most rare pieces from the Florence Studios and from the studio of Armani. Part of it is because Enchanted was actually quite a popular movie. It was a hit, and there's a lot of people who really loved Amy Adams' work in it. And in fact, an Enchanted 2 sequel is finally, after all these years, in the works. So it's a very cute figure, very pretty. It's from a movie that was very popular. And there's quite a few, I think, Giselle fans who would love to have her. And there's not a lot of really high-end collectibles featuring her. I mean, you have your normal staple of toys and dolls and whatnot. But, she was released at a time where high-end versions didn't really exist. And so you're looking at perhaps maybe the only, high-end collectible of her. She doesn't go up on eBay very often. I think maybe a couple times a year she'll go on. I don't even know her retail price. If I had to hazard a guess, judging from previous Armani pieces and the ones that I have bought of, say, Belle from Beauty and the Beast, etc., I would say an unnumbered, non-Disneyana exclusive sculpture. She was pretty simple, not very elaborate or intricate. I would say that this will probably retail price run around $600 to $700 would be my best guess. And she goes for significantly more than that now, if you can even find her. So I was fortunate enough to find her on eBay. I had set a search for her and saved it, and so I would get these emails daily. And the problem, of course, is that Armani also happens to be a rather famous designer. So, there's a lot of Armani products. And Giselle, in case those of you out there may not be aware, happens to be the name of a very famous supermodel. Married to Tom Brady of the New England Patriots, Giselle Bundchen. And so there's a lot of stuff with her. So you can imagine trying to narrow the search on eBay for a Giselle Armani. Most people don't think of this piece when you put Giselle or Armani, in the search engine. But I did indeed find her, and I got her, and I've been searching for quite a few years, just mainly because I really feel like this is the last Armani piece that I want from Disney. He made quite a lot of them over the years, both exclusives and non-exclusives. But for me, at least, this is pretty much completes what I really want to have. There are others that I think about, but this is the one, again, that makes me very happy when I put her in my curio cabinet. So, what's there really to say? The style is the thing I love about this type of sculpture is, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it when I do reviews of the Walt Disney Classics collection. In my mind, there's basically two main high-end sculptural depictions of Disney characters in Disney movies, and they're very different. I haven't done a review of a real Walt Disney Classics collection piece, and maybe I'll do that next to kind of offset the two and show the difference. But The Walt Disney Classics collection is porcelain. It's very, very accurate, and that's the goal. And the goal of that line is to sort of take the character from the movie or the short and almost pluck it out of that movie, out of that TV short, and then put it in front of you in porcelain form, painted in a three-dimensional form. And the closer they can get to the animation, the better. The more realistic they can make it to the animation, the more accurate to the animation, the better. And there is, of course, a role for that, because if you want a beautiful statue of your favorite character, you want that to be authentic. You want that to be instantly recognizable as the animated Belle or the animated Beast. This is an interpretation of these same Disney characters, and it's an interpretation through the lens of the classic Renaissance masters from that time. And this is in Florence, and it's about as good as it gets. And Giuseppe Armani, while not a well-known name perhaps today or here, was one of the great masters of that style. He developed, of course, his own style, but he comes very, very firmly from the old masters of the sculptural form from the Renaissance in Italy. And it's as if you have these Disney characters reimagined through that lens. And I really love that marriage between the two, taking these Disney characters and then kind of in a way sort of pretending like what would they look like and how would they be interpreted if versions of them had been sculpted back in the time of the Renaissance. And again, Giuseppe Armani, of course, this is not from the Renaissance purely. We can't time travel, but he's one of the artists whose work is so strongly based or rooted in there that you see it almost like time travel, where you're moving back in time and sort of again marrying the great masters there, and how would they have interpreted a Snow White or a Beauty and the Beast or a Cinderella. So I have for instance, a Lady in the Tramp, a Jessica, Pinocchio. So I really love those interpretations. They're very pricey, but again, in my opinion, they're well worth it. So you can kind of see the soft expression on her face, the way she sculpted her hair, her dress, the sort of touch of, what is this? Is lilac? Sort of like a light shade of purple, almost a lilac color to her dress. The way her arm is posed, her bare feet right here. Just overall, again, just this very classic, pretty look. She's not big. She's maybe 12 inches, I think 1/6 scale. So smaller than even some of the dolls that Disney is so famous for selling. And very, very nice museum pose. But you won't find her very often. She is very, very rare. So I'm very pleased I got her. Hope you enjoyed me sort of waxing on, going on about this. And I think for my next couple of videos, I will sort of show a few of the other great Armani pieces. But this will, in all likelihood, be my very last one. At least for the Armani line that I'm gonna buy. So there you go. So of course, because she's the latest one I got, and I just got it and opened her, that's why I'm doing a review of her. I have a whole bunch more in my display cabinet. So this is Giselle, sculpted by Fabrizio Tani from the Florence Studios, started by Giuseppe Armani. And this is from the movie Enchanted. I hope you enjoyed that, and until next time, take care.